Welcome into College Football Every Game on the Board podcast, Rivalry Weekend, Thanksgiving weekend. We got Jeff Nadeau breaking down the games. Jeff, as always, man, happy Thanksgiving out there. And how you feeling, bud?
Doing good, Drew. Same to you. Same to everybody out there. Happy Thanksgiving. 14 weeks of this, Drew. Feels like we were just starting. I got a winner last week on San Diego State. Blew the hell out of San Jose State. Let's get into another one.
Yeah, let's get another one, guys. Best bets coming up. We are breaking down the middle portion of the Saturday card. We're going to start off here going down in rotation order. If you're new to Every Game on the Board podcast, we go down in rotation order, 353, 354, those little numbers next to the team name. We are talking Kentucky and Louisville at the top here, 12 noon Eastern kick. This is the Governor's Cup, obviously a rivalry game here, Jeff. -3, that is Louisville as the home favorite, 46 and a hook being the total. You liking anything in the Battle of the Bluegrass in the Governor's Cup?
Yeah, I like Kentucky a little bit, kind of a lukewarm dog. We don't really know who's going to play quarterback for Louisville. Miller Moss has been out with an injury. Brom stated even if he does play, they're going to go with a couple of different quarterbacks. We're at that point in the season, Drew, where you have to look at games and say, okay, what do they exactly mean, right? Louisville's not playing for anything. Their season is pretty much done as far as this game's over. They're just going to go to a bowl game, and that's going to be it. They're not going to compete for an ACC title or anything like that. You look at Kentucky, Drew, 5-6. This game means all the world to them. They get this win, they're back to a bowl game, and I think that's got to be the goal here. Throw in the fact you could do it against your rival who has an injured quarterback. They haven't exactly played real well. Two defenses that I think are pretty solid. I think this is probably first of 24 wins. I'll take Kentucky +3. I don't think that's going to last very long. So if you like Kentucky, you probably want to bet it now. I like what I've seen out of Cutter Boley, the new quarterback there. Obviously, last week they struggled, but, Vandy's really good. And I will tell you, Drew, I cashed an over there. I played an over late in that game, and Kentucky did enough to get that one up and over the total. So, yeah, I like them here. I think they actually beat their rival. Kind of again, as you alluded to, a big game. Louisville beat them last year bad. I think Kentucky gets the job done here.
Like the breakdown. Good start here, Jeff. And yeah, with your line analysis, this opened 4. It's mostly 3s, but there is some 2.5s starting to pop up. So that line movement, sooner than later on the Wildcats. I like that point there, Jeff. We got next game up, 355, 356, 7 o'clock Eastern kick here. It is Rice at South Florida. South Florida -4 touchdown favorites here, -28 in Raymond James Stadium, 60 being the total. The Owls going on the road here to Tampa.
Yeah, so South Florida, obviously, kind of losing to Memphis, didn't help, a couple of weeks ago. They then lose to Navy. So again, kind of could have been a season to remember, but I think what we've seen, Drew, all of a sudden is kind of popped up that Alex Golish, the coach, there was all this talk, but he was a guy that, maybe could get a bigger job. I think it's coming abundantly clear, he's a great offensive mind, but I don't know if he's a real great coach overall. They've had some really just questionable decisions late in games. That said, in this game, really shouldn't have much trouble. They're back at home. This is a Rice team that's on the regular gotten blown the hell out this season. They just really can't kind of match some of the offensive fireworks some of the teams in this conference have. And say what we want about South Florida, it really hasn't mattered. Regardless of whether they win or lose, they put points on the board. They kind of force you into games where you have to kind of play and go fast. Number's pretty high. It's kind of out of my price range. If it was a little lower, maybe I'd take a shot. I don't want to bet against South Florida. I'm not betting Rice here, but just don't really have much. Really, the game means literally nothing. So I guess there's an outside chance South Florida could find their way in. If Tulane somehow lost to Charlotte, Navy loses to Memphis, I guess South Florida has a shot maybe, but they're pretty much playing for nothing here. I'd lean them, but not betting it.
Yeah, it's likely not to happen. I was thinking the same thing because it's almost like for the group of 5 spot, even though South Florida has more losses, they had to play Miami. They lost on the road to Memphis. and they had to go up to Navy, in the month of November. That was a tough matchup. So they have 3 losses. I still would probably power rate them as the highest G5. I don't think they're going to get in, but like if they played a neutral site game against the other group of 5 teams, Jeff, I would probably put them as the highest power rated. Would you?
Yeah, I think when if I actually look at this conference and I say, okay, who do I truly think is the best team? Like on a one-off field, who would I bet? I still agree that South Florida is probably the most interesting to me. I do think at the end of the day, like their defensive line's good. They have a great offense. I like Byron Brown. I think North Texas is obviously very good as well, but I think in this game per se, when you really look at South Florida, you look at against this type of competition. I mean, beat South Carolina State 63-14, beat Charlotte 54-26, beat Florida Atlantic 48-13, blew out UAB last week by 30. I mean, I think anything under 30, I'd still probably lean South Florida. I mean, they are pretty good in these types of games. But again, you're at that point in the season where, it's a shame this game doesn't mean something because then I have more interest.
Yeah, I agree with you. Number is high, but it's high for a reason. All right, we got the next one up. I believe Palmetto Bowl, something of that nature. 12 noon Eastern, kicking us off on Saturday. Clemson at South Carolina. It is the Gamecocks. -2.5 as the home favorite, 46.5 being the total. Another SEC, ACC, in-state rivalry game here. And it looks like the Gamecocks, short home favorites. Good one kicking us off on Saturday, Jeff.
Yeah, but again, another game, just not really much here. Obviously, outside of the rivalry, I mean, Clemson 6-5. They're kind of where they want to be. I guess obviously you want to win as many games as possible, and you want to get this win here against the rival. But I think South Carolina, for what it's worth, I mean, this is probably their best stretch of the season, right? I mean, they never really got going this season, but right in the game against Alabama, kind of were in the game against Ole Miss. Should have beat Texas A&M and then blew out Coastal last week. I've not been interested in Clemson all season. Just kind of a lukewarm favorite. They just really never matriculated into anything. I'm going to lean on Clemson or lean on South Carolina here. Not going to be betting this game, but gun to my head, I like them a little bit more right now. And in a rivalry game, you should get the best from them. I thought last week they were a great bet against Coastal, and they rolled. I think they beat Clemson here.
Jeff, anything you want to throw out with like Dabo Swinney? He's been taking some heat. Any coaching things you want to throw out for handicapping the card this weekend?
Well, obviously you got some guys that are on the move. Eric Morris, the coach at North Texas, he's going to go to Oklahoma State, but there's still so much to play for them. I feel like I don't hate that situation because the cool thing about nowadays, your coach leaves, I'm going to guess that he's going to take a lot of those guys to Oklahoma State with him. The kids that are eligible. That's a good football team there at North Texas. They've got some really quality players. I would have to imagine Mestermaker follows him to
the quarterback.
Oklahoma State. I mean, he's been really good. They have a kid. I've watched a lot of. He's really kind of shined on tape. I think his name's Wyatt Morris or Wyatt something. Really good player, kind of a scat back. Kind of reminds you a little bit of Wes Welker, a kind of player like that. Just really quick, fast. Was terrific last season for them. I would think he would go as well. So I think there's a lot of meat still in the bone here for North Texas. Some of the other ones, Virginia Tech, I think they're kind of a bet against just because I don't think a lot of those guys will be there next year with James Franklin. So I don't know. I mean, it's kind of a case-by-case basis, but as far as Dabo, no, I don't think Dabo's done far too much there. I think he'll go when he wants to go, or it just got really, really bad. Florida State's an interesting one. They're 5-6, Drew, and they get to play Florida for a chance to go to a bowl. If they lose, you'd have to figure Mike Norvell's gone, right? I mean,
yeah, but they said they're keeping him, and I think his buyout's like over $40 million, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, you look also like a guy like Mark Stoops at Kentucky, like his buyout's crazy too, and it's like I guess when you really look at it, like what do you really expect from Kentucky, right? So yeah, it's all case by case. I don't have much on it.
Yeah, it's very hard to project. But like a guy like Mark Stoops, it's almost like, yeah, what do you want? You know, he's the longest tenured head coach in the SEC. You don't keep a job that long unless you're doing it right. And you know, if you're making bowl games at Kentucky, I don't know.
Well, I read an article, I think it was The Athletic this week, and they talked about how Mark Stoops is essentially the Iowa of the SEC.
Yeah, I could see that.
And how like the offense is hard to watch. Like they're just kind of average, but again, like they're not a football school, they're a basketball school. I guess I just look at it and say, like, you could go out and get like a Clark Leah, like a type like that,
Yeah.
or someone like that. I'll tell you what, if I were Kentucky, you know, a guy I would consider who we talked about would be like an Alex Golish. Like I think he could really inject something interesting there at Kentucky, but I don't think they're going to move on from Stoops. So we're talking about something that probably won't happen.
Yeah, fair enough, Jeff. As we'll move down the list here, Arkansas State and App State, 54.5 being the total. Tight point spread here, App State -2.5 in Boone, North Carolina.
Yeah, two teams that are still trying to vie for some ball eligibility. You know, you're going to hear that a lot, you know, with your breakdowns and even with our breakdowns, just because, you know, that is important to a lot of these teams. And you both are 5 and 6. I think you give a small advantage for App State being at home. That's not an easy place to go play. But these two teams are pretty similar. Neither really are very good defensively. I think App State's kind of a slight favorite at the offensive position, but this is a complete pass from me, Drew. It's a true coin flip.
We get Wake and Duke up next, 3:30 Eastern in the ACC. It is the Blue Devils, -1, -1.5, depending where we're shopping here, Jeff. 55 and a hook being the total in Durham, North Carolina.
I played under here, 55.5, and I think a lot of people will say to themselves, you know, do I really want to take a Duke under? Probably not, but I'll tell you this. I mean, the offense is hit or miss. This is a really good Wake defense. You talk about a great coach, Jake Dickert. What a hire by them. You got a guy here on the precipice of 9 wins, 10 wins. Impressive stuff. They've got a pretty average offense, though. A great defense. They're very good in the secondary, good pass rush. They don't play real fast. And Duke, Drew, I know aren't good against the pass, but they're actually pretty good against the run. So I think 55.5 is a little too high here. Wake just seemingly makes every defense look good. I mean, just so many low-scoring games this season. Really outside of last week against a Delaware team that was just outmatched. Most of the time, though, they're in really low-scoring games. I like the under 55.5. I think we're getting a good bet here, and Duke's a little overinflated just because of some of their scores this season. But this is actually, I think, a pretty good matchup for them. I like the under here.
All right, little under look. That seems sharp. Wake and Duke. We got next one up, a big one, kicking us off on Saturday, coined the game. Ohio State and Michigan. We are seeing the Buckeyes -10, -10.5, kind of a split line depending where you're shopping. Want to make sure to get the best number out there, guys, because it is kind of a key one, particularly with a really low total here, Jeff. 43 and a hook, 44 being the total. The odds makers are telling us points at a premium, but Ohio State laying doubles on the road in the big house. Ohio State and Michigan here, Jeff.
Well, yeah, and obviously the big story is, you know, what's the status of Carnell Tate, Jeremiah Smith? I think Smith will play. I don't know if Tate will. Obviously, getting them both in there would be gigantic. Because, again, if you don't have one, you can kind of key in on one and someone else has to step up. So I think that's the concern in this matchup if you're Michigan. I think their run defense, their front seven is solid. I think you can beat them vertically. And look, Ohio State beats everybody vertically. The total is low for a reason. You have two great defenses here. You have two teams that are insanely slow as well. Ohio State is the slowest team in the country by a pretty wide margin. I mean, they're slower than Army, Navy, Iowa, Nevada. I mean, so many teams. I mean, they just have walked the ball up the field. You know, can Julian Sand beat kind of a great defense? We've just seen them play so many bad teams. Michigan play very slow also. I'm not really wanting to bet against Ohio State, but I think the defenses win here. Lukewarm bet. I like the under. I think this could be, I don't know,
17-10,
24-13, something like that. I mean, you don't have a lot of wiggle room here. it wouldn't surprise me if both these teams are in the teens. I could see 21-10 or something. I think it's your typical slog. Michigan weather right now, obviously it's getting pretty cold. Yeah, I like the under here, but I'm not playing it. I also would take a look. I don't think this will affect the game. I know that there is some sort of bouts with snow in the area. Maybe you look into that. Could be an interesting weather day. I think Saturday will be okay, but it'll be cold. You have some snow. I like under personally.
Yeah, fair point there, Jeff. There does look to be some weather, guys. I mean, obviously cold this time of year, particularly for the northern games, but some of these games do have wind involved, so something to check there.
And you also look at like last season's game. I mean, that's kind of where you have this season's game, right? I mean, two quarterbacks I think against bad competition are decent, but against each other, against these defenses, I think both struggle, quite honestly. And look, if you can get lucky and maybe get one of those receivers out, obviously that helps the under considerably. So, yeah. Am I playing it? No. If I had to play it pace-wise, defensive-wise, I like under 43.5.
All right. Staying in the Big Ten up next, 7 o'clock Eastern, Maryland and Michigan State. We are seeing the Spartans -4, -3.5 split line here as the quote-unquote home favorite, 49 being the total. I am seeing Ford Field is the location for this game Saturday night. It is Maryland and Michigan State here, Jeff.
Yeah, a game that means nothing. Both these teams are not going to a bowl. It's just kind of a lukewarm spot, playing out the string. It's no rivalry or anything here. Mike Locksley, another guy, maybe, you look at him in 7 years. I mean, 37-48, has a couple of bowl wins, but that's about it. Haven't had a winning season over the last 2 seasons. I guess, though, you kind of look at it and say, well, it's Maryland. They're more of a basketball school. I believe they re-upped him recently. I don't really understand that. I think he gets paid more next year, which probably doesn't sit real well with the fan base. Game means nothing. Just not there's a lot of games I just pass on because I look at what we have and there's just no advantage. Maryland, a gun in my head, I'd lean them, but I don't have much here.
Yeah, with Locksley, it's like, he's a great recruiter. His past shows that, but nowadays, does recruiting really matter as much? It's more just, do you like the school and are they paying you enough? I don't know if recruiting matters as much as it used to, Jeff.
No, it doesn't. And obviously, look, I think Locksley's just, to me, like, I think he's a good OC. Like when he was at Alabama, I thought that was a good spot for him. There are some coaches to me that are just, coordinators.
Yeah.
I think he would be one of them. But somebody in the chat's mentioned Golish is probably going to go to Arkansas. Look, I mean, and guess what will continue? They won't stop anybody and they'll score a bunch of points. Like that's kind of what, I don't think that's a good hire personally. To me, he's another one. I think he'd be a good OC. Is he a good head coach? No. So yeah, I don't like that particularly, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah, shout out to everybody chiming in either on YouTube or Twitter. Also, wherever you're downloading your podcast at. Every game on the board. We got Let's Get a Win in the house. Shout out to you. Then we got the Golish comment as well. Thunder in the house.
Kind of a random guy. I looked into him recently. Like, he was born in Russia.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I wonder like how he got into football. Kind of random. Russia's not exactly a football power, but I mean he grew up in the States, so who knows? But kind of an interesting story.
Yeah, I think he's the only FBS head coach that was Russian born. So
I don't know any players are even Russian born.
No, there's not many non-American born players. There's just a couple from Europe. There's one from Israel. There's some Russian as well, but always interesting to see that. A couple Mexican-born players as well. All right, we'll move down the list. We got North Carolina, NC State up next. Wolfpack -7.5 is the home favorite. 47 and a hook being the total. Battle for North Carolina, North Carolina State here, Jeff.
Yeah, this is a weird team, NC State. I really don't know what they are. I'll just kind of go through their last 5 games. They get blown out by Notre Dame. They then get blown out and give up 53 against Pitt. They then beat Georgia Tech. They then get blown out against Miami. They then come back last week and beat Florida State by 10. What gives, right? I don't know. It's a tough one. UNC, the dream for them is obviously over. They're not going to a bowl. NC State's already bowl eligible. I don't know. I think UNC is probably, you have to wonder if there's any quitting them here. It may be. Lean NC State, another tough game. A lot of those. You're either in on these games or you're not this week. I'm out on this one.
The next one's a fascinating handicap. 12 noon Eastern. It is Miami at Pittsburgh. ACC battle here. College football playoff implications. We are seeing the Hurricanes -6.5 or -7 split line as the road favorite. 49 and a hook being the total, Jeff. And I bring it up. Interesting handicap, mainly because, Miami's still in the picture. Pitt has a lot to play for. They look good against Georgia Tech, nationally televised Saturday. And lastly here, Jeff, before I throw it over to you, bunch of South Florida kids heading up north in the cold, laying a number. I don't like that profile, man. That's what's keeping me off of Miami. You liking anything Miami and Pitt?
Yeah, so I'll have two best bets for you. This is going to be one of them, Drew. I like Pitt +7 here. Couple of reasons. I'm really impressed with this team. I didn't know if they had it in them. I was a little irritated with the comments by Narduzzi, but I think it was playing possum, right, Drew? I mean, they just didn't care about that game. They threw all their eggs into the Georgia Tech basket, and they had no issue. They were fantastic. Let me ask you, is Heinschel maybe a better quarterback than Beck? I think you can make that case. He has really answered the call. Desmond Reed, I'm a big fan of him. Terrific running back who I think is going to play on Sundays. You look at everything they've done. I mean, it's very impressive. Now they're on the forefront, maybe go to a college football playoff. I mean, they don't just have Desmond Reed too. I mean, Ja'Carrion Turner's terrific. I mean, they're awesome. They're great against the run, one of the best run defenses in the country. They're giving up like 2.7 yards a carry. They're a great red zone team. You have two good rushing defenses here. It's going to come down to the quarterback, the red zone, that sort of thing. Throw in, and I want to point this out because this is important. Pitt has covered. They've been great at home over the last couple of years. Very good home team. You mentioned some of the issues with the weather. It's getting kind of a little colder. I will point out, though, I know the weather's going to be kind of weird this weekend. It was supposed to be, I think, decently nice over the next 2 days, and then by Saturday, it's supposed to get real cold. So, I like Pitt here +7. Best bet.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you, man. Looking towards the Panthers at home, catching a touchdown. We got Penn State and Rutgers up next. Big Ten battle here, 3:30 Eastern. It is the Nittany Lions, -13 and a hook or -14 is the road favorite, 55.5 being the total in Piscataway, New Jersey.
Yeah, two teams, 5 and 6, now or never for these groups. I think if you're Penn State, I was kind of gun-shy on whether I thought maybe they cared. But I think ultimately the goal is still, it's been a bad season. It's not been what you wanted, but getting to a bowl would be a nice way to end it. I think they'll get it here. They're 2-touchdown favorite. Rutgers all season has struggled to get stops. And I think, Drew, one thing you want to look at late in the season when you have kind of a random thing like Penn State had where they fire their coach, how does the team perform with the interim, right? Is that an option?
Yeah.
It seems like they've really responded to Terry Smith. All right. I mean, they were right in that game against Indiana. Probably should have won. Last 2 games, double-digit victories. Could Terry Smith win the job there? I mean, do you do like an Ed Orgeron thing where you just say, you know what, we're going to give you a shot here? Do you do a Sharon Moore type of thing? I'm going to say that I something tells me like last year, ECU did this. They fired Mike Houston. They went with this Blake Carroll guy, and he's been the guy there. I don't know how you just don't hire him. I think he's done a really nice job. He seems like a guy who's kind of come out of nowhere, but they're getting him to play for him. He's a guy who played at Penn State. He's from Aliquippa, right near there. He's been with the program for a while now. He's a guy, Drew, kind of interesting to me because so I live in a township, East Hempfield Township in Pennsylvania, just outside of Lancaster. Terry Smith actually coached at Hempfield, which is the school here. It's an LL League team. So there's a lot of connection to him with Pennsylvania. He's just a Pennsylvania guy. I like him here. I'll go with him. I think he's the guy.
Yeah, it sets up. I like that profile. Guys that work their way up from high school. They got good connections with the other high school head coaches. And if you're just a good X's and O's coach and the players respect you, I think I would like Auburn to go that route in terms of just hire a good X's and O's coach that can get the job done and then put the money behind him. Don't give him the money for him personally. Put it in the NIL. That's the route I would go if I was an AD. So that sounds like.
Look at, I mean, he actually started under Franklin as the recruiting guy on defense and the cornerbacks coach. And a lot of their defenses, which have had a lot of success, I mean, they put a couple of guys into the league. I mean, Joey Porter, a couple of different guys, Tree Castro Fields. I mean, they've had some good secondary players there. I think he's the guy you build a program around. I mean, they did it many years ago with Joe Paterno. Why can't they do it again here?
All right, we'll move down the list. Boston College and Syracuse. Talk about a degenerate special, man. Two teams, rough goes of it this season. Somebody's got to be favored. It looks like Boston College -3 as the road favorite, 53 being the total in Syracuse, New York.
Yeah, I like BC. I don't know how you can bet on Syracuse. I mean, I drew last week. It was 21-0 Notre Dame, and I thought, you know what? They're going to win by like 60. I said, I'm laying 54.5 live. I laid 54.5 live, and they won what? They went 70 to
it was ugly
6 or something. I don't even remember. Notre Dame is. I mean, if you're any team in America, do you they're going to make the playoff? Do you want to see them in the playoff? I don't. I wouldn't want to see Notre Dame.
I wouldn't want to play Notre Dame. Just is that what you mean, or you don't?
Yeah, I would not want to see them in the playoff. I'll continue to say it. Marcus Freeman's the best coach in the country. He is elite. They have the best running back in the country. Carr's been great. The defense, and that is what I'm talking about when I talk about coaching. I've talked about this before. The defense didn't look good. He made changes. Now they're elite.
And it's almost the same profile. It's not firing the head coach, but the coach left, Brian Kelly. You kind of promote the DC, and it works. Like it can work for sure. Great point there, Jeff. All right, next one up, a big one. We got the Commonwealth clash, Virginia Tech at Virginia. We are seeing the Wahoos -9 1/8 or -10 split line here as the home favorite, 52 1/8 being the total. Virginia Tech at Virginia.
Yeah, I like UVA here. Big revenge game. Virginia Tech's beat them the last couple of years. Virginia is way better. Virginia Tech, to me, just kind of a dead dog program. They hired a new coach. Most of these guys are gone. Most of these coaches don't know where they're going to be next. UVA, I think, is focused. Getting to 10 wins would be a massive win for this program. They've got their quarterback healthy in Chandler Morris. Pretty good defense who's given up like 21 or 22 points a game. Really impressive stuff. I like UVA here. I think they win big.
No disagreement, Jeff, as we got a little Saturday MACtion for you. Toledo and Central Michigan. This is actually two of the better teams in the MAC conference. -10.5. That is the Rockets as the road favorite. 44 1/8 being the total. I'll tell you, Jeff, Toledo, I think, is the most talented team in the MAC. However, Central Michigan has covered 7 of their last 8 games. They've covered 5 straight. Their only loss to Western Michigan. I kind of think 10.5 is a little bit too much. I was looking towards the Chippewas. Interested in your handicap.
Yeah, so a few things here, Drew. I have Toledo to win the MAC. So I'm just really hoping for a win here. I need some help. But I agree. I really would like to see Toledo in the final just because I do think they are the most talented team. It's a shame they always have these like random losses throughout the year because they don't need these games to be so important late, but they make it hard on themselves. I like the under, Drew, a lot. I think you make a great point. I mean, the one thing I love about Central Michigan is not the greatest offense in the world, but they got a damn good defense. Toledo is one of the best defenses in the country. I think this is a knockdown, drag-out affair. You look at Toledo the last couple of weeks, Drew. They've allowed 3, 3, and 9. They've allowed 15 points combined over the last 3 games. That is uber impressive. You look at this game last year, Central Michigan did nothing. Toledo obviously had a big game, but, you have to figure, for what it's worth, Central Michigan has struggled offensively. I think this is a low-scoring, probably close game. If I had to play it, I would take the point. I just need a win from Toledo. But yeah, I think 44.5. I'd maybe see if you can get a 45. Are there some 45s out there? Yeah, there are.
Yeah, there is.
I would look for that, and I would go under.
All right, we'll stay in the MAC. Up next, Ball State, Miami O. Miami of Ohio, -17 and a hook is the home favorite, 41.5 being the total. Miami O, they made the change at the quarterback position, or, due to injury. And the freshman comes in and looks great against Buffalo. I'm looking to ride him here. It's a big number, though. It looks like the odds makers are onto it. Anything Miami O hosting Ball State?
Yeah, I would lean Miami. This could be one of those like 27-7 type games or something. He did look better. I mean, Hessen was dreadful. DeQuan Finn was dreadful. Yeah, I mean, who would have thought? Sometimes your third stringer is your best quarterback. It's a lukewarm game, though. It means nothing. Ball State season's over. Miami's just kind of trudging water. They're already bowl eligible. Like I said, I think under's probably the most interesting here. I don't think Ball State does much, but yeah, I could see it like 27-7. I like Miami O in the under.
What Conference USA action up next? Kind of a weird travel spot. UTEP at Delaware. We're seeing Delaware -4-point home favorites, 55 being the total. Tough trip for the Miners. I lean Delaware. You like anything?
Yeah, it's a really tough trip. I mean, UTEP season's over after this game. They're 2-9, I think. Now you got to go all the way to Newark, which is in Delaware. It's the farthest trip in this conference. And it's only started this season. So how do they deal with that? Delaware, Drew, we've talked about. They're not technically bowl eligible. Like if they win here, they're not going to a bowl. They're only going to a bowl if certain teams don't accept their bowl. Then they'll go to a bowl. So they're playing for something here. They've had a great offense, Drew. I mean, 9th in passing the offense in America. I've really moved the football, but some head-scratching performances, right? I mean, you lose outright at Sam Houston, kind of one of those weird games, and you lose at Wake, which is considered. I mean, that's not a bad loss. I think, to me, Drew, they're only a bet on at home, and they're a fade on the road. You look at their home games. Beat UConn at home. I mean, should have beat West Kentucky at home. Beat at La Tech at home. I think they beat UTEP. I'll lay the points here.
Yeah, I agree with you. Looking towards Delaware. LSU and Oklahoma, 3:30 Eastern on Saturday. It is the Sooners, -10-point home favorites, 36.5 being the total. Low total, Jeff.
Yeah, I think it's Oklahoma or pass. I mean, there's no part of me that wants LSU. What are they playing for? They're not playing for anything. I mean, their coach has been fired. You'd have to figure this is Lane Kiffin's job, right? I mean,
I think Lane Kiffin's going to stay at Ole Miss, but I don't know.
Well, either way, they're going to have a new coach, right? And a lot of these players are going somewhere else. They've not been good all year. I thought last week was pretty pathetic. Who the hell's a quarterback? I mean, Nussmeier just never matriculated into anything. I mean, how many people were wrong on Nussmeier and all these different people? Nussmeier, Lagway, Sellers. I mean, some of those people, they were all over them. I don't get it. Yeah, it's Oklahoma. They're going one way. LSU's going the wrong way. Oklahoma's defense is solid. Mateer looks healthy. I think the number's about right. I'd lay it.
Yeah, it goes to show you, recruiting, particularly at the quarterback position, it is a tough business there to project how these guys are going to do. All right, next one up, Army on the road at UTSA. It is the Roadrunners, -7.5 as the home favorite, 52 being the total in the Alamo Dome here, Jeff.
Yeah, I like UTSA here. I talked last week. I mean, they're just so good at home. I mean, what a performance they put out against the ECU Pirates. I mean, ECU was just never in that game. You look at UTSA at home, they're just unstoppable, man. 5 touchdowns last week for Owen McCown. I think they may get Robert Henry back, their running back. Army can't stop the pass. I think Army's just kind of looking ahead, getting ready for Navy. Don't have much interest here in Army. I laid it with UTSA. I think they win by double digits. They're just a wagon at home.
Iron Bowl up next, Alabama and Auburn. It is Alabama 6-point road favorites. There is a 6.5 out there. 46 and a hook being the total. I like the War Eagles here, Jeff. I really do, man. The change at the quarterback position, 6 losses, yes, all competitive losses though. I don't know. You think I'm a little too biased like in my Auburn Tigers?
No, I mean, I do like a lot of what they're doing right now. I like Deuce Knight. He's given them some invigoration in their offense. The problem that's always in the back of my mind, though, they've allowed 41 sacks this season. It's one of the highest in the country. You're going to get Alabama who, look, is this a vintage Alabama defensive line? No, but, I mean, they still have kids up front, and that's concerning. Their secondary is obviously really good. But they've struggled over the years against the mobile type of quarterback. I don't think they're going to be able to throw it here. I actually like the under in this game. I think Auburn, obviously, their kind of calling card is defense. I think this could be like a pretty low-scoring game. I think that the sharp money's probably on Auburn here in the Iron Bowl. Could be one of those kind of methodical games. Alabama, you're just kind of I guess my question for them is like, what are they playing for, right? I mean, nothing. I mean, I guess to win. They're not going to the SEC title game. I mean, like, what are they playing for?
Well, I guess if they lose, they would be out of the college football.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm
right?
saying. Oh, yeah. They're just going to win. I don't think there's an onus to like run this,
Right.
You're just trying to, get out of there with a win, right? And Auburn, they're playing pretty good right now. So I think they leave it close to the vest. I kind of like the under 46.5.
All right. Under in the Iron Bowl is we got UAB in Tulsa up next. Tulsa -7 and a hook, -8 as the home favorite, 58 being the total. This is one I actually like the over, but what are you thinking here with the Blazers and the Golden Hurricanes?
Yeah, I like the over too. I give Tulsa some credit. They definitely play hard. I give them that. They beat Army last week. They beat up Oregon State. They play hard. They should have beat Temple earlier this season. This Baylor Hayes kid, he's definitely the answer. And they're gonna throw the ball here. UAB can't stop anybody. We kind of all know that. UAB is the worst scoring defense in America. Tulsa, not real good either. I think they probably win by double digits, but I'm willing to believe UAB. They're going to throw the ball. That's what they do. I like the over also.
We got next one up, 391, 392, Colorado and Kansas State. K-State -17-point home favorites, 49 and a hook, the total in the Little Apple.
Yeah, I'm kind of mum on this one. I don't want to lay any points with K-State. I don't trust them to do anything. I mean, they're not good on defense. I mean, even that Oklahoma State performance I thought was pretty pathetic. And Colorado, I don't want any part of them either. They're playing for nothing. What's the future there? Most of those kids will transfer. They don't have a quality quarterback. I mean, K-State I think will win, but I don't want to lay 17.5 with them.
All right, guys, we got 2 games left. Talking with Jeff Nadeau at Jeff Nadeau on Twitter. Great follow there. He's got the Sit Down podcast rolling as well. You can check that out. And mainstay here on Every Game on the Board. 2 games left, Big 12 matchups, both competitive price tags here, Jeff. 3:30 Eastern, it is Cincinnati at TCU. The Horned Frogs -3 and a hook is the home favorite. 57 being the total as Cincinnati goes on the road to Fort Worth to face Texas Christian.
Yeah, I lean TCU here. I think these are just ultimately two teams that just weren't good enough. Right. I mean, there's kind of that middle tier Big 12 team. You like Josh Hoover. You don't really like their defense a whole lot. Cincinnati just really couldn't hang with the big boys. They ultimately were kind of a phony. Now you got to go on the road. Game doesn't mean much to really either team. They're both bowl eligible. They're both 7-4. I think TCU gets a little advantage being at home here. I think it's a coin flip. I'll take the better quarterback. I mean, both are good quarterbacks. I think this could probably be a sneaky over. I think they did a good job with the price, though. I made it 58. It's 57.5, 56.5. Small lean to the over. I think it could be like 31-28, honestly. It would be right there.
All right, Jeff, we got last game. We'll try to get a best bet out of them, guys, as we got Houston and Baylor. The Bears, -2.5 is the home favorite, 60 being the total. Houston's got a great record. What are they, 8, 9-2, something of that nature. But I kind of like Baylor here. Houston's had a pretty easy road in the Big 12, and I've seen them struggle a little bit. I'm not a huge Wegman guy. I like Baylor at home. Do you like anything in Waco, Jeff?
Yeah, I like Houston, or I like Baylor too. Not Houston. I like Baylor too at home. Dave Aranda, he's another kind of lukewarm guy for me. But getting to ball eligibility would be nice. I thought they'd have a better season. Sir Robertson's a great quarterback. They just never were able to get enough stops. I think Houston, for the most part, against these quality offenses have struggled. I'm not a big Weigman fan either. But you look at Willie Fritz, 8-3, that's damn impressive. If I were Arkansas, this is the guy I would go after, not Golish. Fritz would be the guy. Then again, Houston's got a ton of money. That's a good athletic program. Really an underrated on both sides, football and basketball. Basketball's terrific. I lean Baylor here, just kind of a throw your ball at the wall and hopefully it sticks. Then again, though, Baylor is 5-6. They're just kind of hard to back. No interest.
I agree with you on Willie Fritz. In this situation, though, I think Baylor's the better squad. But great breakdowns overall, Jeff. Love the information. Fan favorite here with the chat box as well. Jeff, do you have a best bet for the listeners?
Yeah, so I like Pitt +7 against Miami. I'm also going to give you another one. I'm going to lay it with JMU minus 21.5 against Coastal Carolina. Not really sure it's going to matter, the hook. Look, we obviously know what JMU's goal right now is. JMU has to win by as many points as possible, right? It's that simple. Their offense has been terrific all year. They've blown these teams out on the regular. They have one of the best run defenses in the country. And Coastal Carolina, Drew, after they lose Samari Collier, they just can't move the ball. They were hard to watch last week against South Carolina. They're back to what they were at the beginning of the season, where they were getting blown out on the regular. JMU, it's put big numbers up. And I think there's a little bit of value here on the side because Tulane's the team they obviously have to watch. Tulane plays later at night. So I think you're going to have the onus for JMU to do as much as you can here, right? You want to win 56-0, put a big number up. And I'll ask you, Drew, let's say JMU win 56-3, right? And Tulane win against Charlotte, they win 31-21. Does that matter to you?
I think it does. Yeah.
There's very small room for error here. And let me ask you, let's say they both win big. How do you leave? And let's say JMU win. Let's say they both win their conference titles. How do you? I don't get how you could take JMU. Remember, Tulane lost to UTSA by 20+ points. JMU didn't lose to any team by more than 20.
I think it should go to JMU. I do. Yeah.
I think if JMU win out and they, win by margin, I don't think you can leave them out.
I'm with you, Jeff. I think it's going to be a heck of a running here in terms of who gets that last slot into the college playoff.
The only guy that I would pick over Terry Smith to be the Penn State coach, the interim, is Chesney. Chesney is fantastic. He was great at Holy Cross. He's been great here. And I think the hope is you get the next Kurt Signetti, right?
Right.
So we'll see. But yeah, I like JMU a whole lot. I think they crush Coastal. And they had kind of a close call last week. I don't think they have one this week.
I'm with you, Jeff. I can see it. At Jeff Nadeau on Twitter, the Sit Down Podcast. Jeff, anything else before we shut this down?
No, just kind of focusing on college hoops as well. I've been doing pretty solid to start the year, just focusing on these big matchups. I think that people try to teach you and tell you that, oh, you should only bet the small majors. That's where the value is. I don't agree. You want to bet on good players, good teams, and bet on matchups. And I think these Vegas games have shown that. That's really what I'm concerned with right now. And, doing my thing.
All right. You down to come back for a bowl podcast?
Yeah, looking forward to it. I'll even do next week if you want to do it, a conference title breakdown, whatever. Always enjoy talking to you doing this. And I wish everybody a very happy Thanksgiving.
All right. Happy Thanksgiving out there. We'll be right back with Mid-Major Mac, guys. At Jeff Nadeau on Twitter, the Sit Down Podcast. Short break. We'll be right back. Cash those tickets. Thanks for tuning in.